real quick, and yeah, this is real quick, and yeah, this is I always forget where this quotation is posted at, but Danny always tells me that here we give, give, give until it hurts. And it's because we are a nonprofit, but more importantly, because it's good for the soul to give and give and give. It's just like working out, it's you exercise until the muscles are torn down so they grow back bigger and stronger. Some quick stats though, we have now reached 70 sessions. We have had 105 guest speakers. That includes the one that we are having today. We have had 334 members land jobs. Wow, that number just keeps going up. Then, of course, we have 2,800 plus members on LinkedIn, and that is ever increasing, which is wonderful news. And we hope to see that continue going up. All these numbers we want to see continuing to ascend. This is 2026. It's the year of ascension. We are ascending, everyone. So let's make it happen. And speaking of ascension, I now would like to introduce our guest speaker. He's referred to as the interview whisperer. This is Craig Rosen, and he has interviewed over 10,000 candidates and hired over 2,000 employees during his career. He is a serial entrepreneur who has successfully started 5 businesses from scratch. And he is currently the founder of Interview Focus, which is a cloud-based web application platform reinventing interview prep. Craig is a graduate of Vanderbilt University and resides currently with all you guys, well, a lot of you guys up there in North Carolina, particularly the Charlotte area. And so without further ado, Craig, you have the floor, my good sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that intro, Adam. And it's great to be here. And I'm all about trying to help. So I'm going to talk about interview tips and tricks today and give you all my insights from those 10,000 interviews that I've conducted over my long career. I'm going to share my screen right now and then start. So I will share. Let's see. Do you see the interview prep special tips and tricks?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Great. So thanks again for everyone being here. I'll jump right in and I'm giving you all the information that I would give you if we were meeting one-on-one. So there are goals that you want to achieve in an interview. The first one is to have a natural conversation between you and the interviewer. That is so important. How do you do that? One of the key ways is coming into the interview with 4 or 5 stories that you can quickly adapt to any question that's asked. The interviewer is only going to ask you 8 to 10 questions. It's going to last 30 to 45 minutes typically. Yes, they can go over that, but that's the typical interview. So you want to have those stories ready to adapt to any question that's asked. The other great way that I find you can have a natural conversation is when you ask questions back to the interviewer. What I suggest is don't wait till the end. Ask a question or two in the middle. So like, for instance, after question 4 and after question 7, probe a question right back to that interviewer based on what they're asking you. And I'll get into more detail on that in just a minute. The other goal, besides having a natural conversation, is you want to establish an emotional connection with the interviewer. And you want to do that in 3 ways. Smiling is so important. I suggest to my clients you try to smile once per answer because it pulls at the heartstrings of the interviewer. And anytime you do that, you stand out. It adds to your credibility. So smiling, very important. Second, head nodding. Making sure that you're in agreement. You're mirroring what the interviewer is saying and what they're doing. And the third is by leaning in on important points. So most of the interviews on the first round are virtual. So you see when I lean in 10%, since my body is 90% to my waist, if I just lean 10% angle in, just a couple inches, it really makes that important point more impactful. The digital handshake. So this is a great icebreaker. This is how you can start an interview. Do these 4 things all at once. Smile. You're staring at the webcam. Your head nodding a couple of times. And nice to meet you, Mr. or Mrs. Interviewer. It's just a great way of breaking the ice and doing what I call a digital handshake, because you can't shake the person's hand in person. So it's smile, head nod, consistent eye contact at the webcam, and say, nice to meet you, Mr. or Mrs. Interviewer. This is how a lot of research has been done on how we communicate as humans. This is called the 738-55 rule of communication. And only 7% of the spoken word is how we communicate as humans, less than 10%. So it gets back to, it's not what you say, but how you say it. Because 38% is your tone of voice that accounts for how well you communicate. Are you whispering or are you shouting? That can determine how well someone understands you. But the biggest factor, over half, 55%, is nonverbal communication, body language. So things like eye contact. That's why smiling is so important. We all have idiosyncratic things. I have clients that touch their nose and didn't realize they were doing it. They play with their glasses. They scratch their head or their hair. All those things add up to how someone is going to perceive you. So you don't want any distracting mannerisms. And that's why nonverbal communication is so important. Try to smile once per answer. Try to have consistent eye contact. Don't stare at the person the whole interview. You can look off now and then. That's fine. But do have consistent eye contact. Very important. There was a survey done recently by 2,000 corporate recruiters, and they were asked, what are the 5 most favorable behaviors that you end up hiring candidates for? So the 5 most favorable behaviors are excitement. They want candidates that are excited, that are super enthusiastic, that are there because they're passionate and they're very interested in the job. So excitement and how well you portray that enthusiasm is the #1 favorable behavior. People who were excited tended to be hired. People who were not excited did not get hired. Friendly. You want to come across as a friendly person. And certainly being enthusiastic helps that. Third, smiling. So that gets back to pulling at the heartstrings. If you smile, even at the end of each answer, you tend to get hired versus not get hired when you don't smile. No filler words. So, you know, like, actually, so. In our platform, I'll show you in a couple minutes, we keep track of 12 different words that you might say. So you don't want to say that. Everyone does, but keep it to a minimum, and it adds to your credibility. And then lastly, the 5th most favorable behavior was strong, consistent eye contact. The STAR method. So the STAR method is a way in which you can answer a behavioral type of question. Behavioral type of questions are, tell me about a time you did so-and-so, or give me an example of. And so the STAR method is this. The S stands for situation, the T for task, the action for result, the A for action, and the R for result. So an example of this I was working as a sales director. The company goal at the beginning of the year was to increase sales by 10%. So my task that I took upon myself with all my sales reps was I initiated a BOGO, a buy one, get one free sales incentive plan. So I introduced that with my reps to all our accounts. And with the help of the sales reps, I went around and built hundreds of product displays at the end of the aisle. And as a result of building those displays and end caps, we increased sales by 20% at the end of the plan. And we achieved the biggest sales gain of any of the company territories. So it's always good to tell the interviewer how well you did, what the results were, what you learned from it. And this allows you to just go step by step between the situation, the task, the action, and the result for behavioral type questions. So how to succeed in a panel interview? Just remember to give, if there's more than one interviewer that would make up a panel, give equal eye contact to each panelist, just not the most senior person or the person directly in front of you. Engage with the group by having stories related to the position ready to include in your answer, and make sure you capture the contact info of each panelist, grab their card or grab their email so you can send a follow-up thank you email at the end. And you get bonus points if you handwrite that thank you email and drop it in the mail. The top 5 things that hiring managers are looking for in candidates today in 2026, passion. You've got to say that you're passionate about working at company XYZ in role ABC, whatever it might be, but mention the word passion. They want to make sure there's a fit between you and the job description and the culture that they have. Preparation, so practice with mock interviews. When you come down to it, it's relatively a few dollars per mock interview to help you practice and know how you're going to be perceived. What are the things that you need to improve upon before you go to the actual interview? It's like taking a weight off a baseball bat before you hit the plate. Preparation, I can't emphasize enough. And resourcefulness. How resourceful are you? What did you do to prepare for this interview? Do you know how to answer the question, what do you know about us, that the company is asking? Because they want to know that you took the time to research them. And it's okay to go on LinkedIn and research the interviewer. It's fine, because there might be things that you find on their profile on LinkedIn that you can use as icebreakers during the interview or before the interview starts. And then willingness to learn. Express how much of a quick learner you are. They want to know that because maybe they have new software that they're introducing, and you telling them you're such a quick learner and giving an example of that is perfect. Key questions to ask the interviewer. I like all 3 of these a lot. The first one is, what does success look like in this position and how is it measured? I like that one because you're asking them up front during the interview, how is the position going to be measured? And so you'll know what you're going to be judged on over the next 3 to 6 months. Let them tell you. Next, how can I contribute in ways that go beyond the job listing responsibilities? Very important. You're hinting that you're willing to go beyond the job listing responsibilities. You're going to be in early. You're going to leave late. You're going to do whatever's necessary to get the task done. And then the third, what types of skills is the team missing that you're looking to fill with a new hire? Again, let them come up with the skills that are necessary. And then in future questions or after they ask that, describe how you have those skills. Oh, that's right up my alley. I have the skills that you're looking for. Quick learner, adaptability, whatever the skills were. And then this is what I talked about in the beginning of my presentation. It's vital to sprinkle your questions in the middle of the interview and not wait to the end. And the reason for this is, if I can sum it up, you don't want question and answer, shake hands and say goodbye. You want to stand out. You want to be different. Everyone else is going to wait to the end. That's why it's important to ask questions in the middle. After question 4, after question 7, but definitely don't wait to the end. The 5 interview deal breakers that could cost you the job during a virtual interview: avoid eye contact when you're staring. Definitely don't sit in a messy room. You want to be organized and professional. And definitely don't leave inappropriate tabs open when sharing your screen or using an unprofessional background. you'll see that we even in our platform for interview prep, we evaluate your background by lighting, professionalism, anything distracting. So background is very important. And try not to be interrupted by family members or pets. I've been on interviews when dogs roll in, and it's real cute, but obviously everybody's seen that where the babies have rolled in to the guy on CNN, and it was really funny, but you want to try to avoid that if you can. Next, let's see here. Yeah, I'm down here. Tips and takeaways. Make sure to thoroughly research the company you're interviewing with, be able to answer what do you know about us, research the interviewer as well. And real important, remember to tell the interviewer, I'm very interested in this position. Make sure, they might think you're just practicing interviewing. By saying this, you'll stand out from the competition, as most don't say it. And a really good time to say it is when they ask you, why should I hire you? Ready to crush your next interview? We provide AI-powered mock interviews that simulate real hiring environments. We offer 60-minute coaching sessions to sharpen your delivery and boost your confidence through role-playing, and personalized feedback on things like body language, eye contact, and filler words, and access to top-tier interview techniques used by thousands of successful candidates. Here's my contact information. If you're interested, you can reach out at info@interviewfocus.com or visit us at our website at interviewfocus.com, where you can register to take AI-powered mock interviews. So I am going to now start and go over a quick description. Adam, can you see Interview Focus logo in the upper left?
I sure can.
Great. So you come here, you'd register, you'd sign in. This would take you to our dashboard page where it says I've taken 33 interviews, average score of 63.2. My last 30 days, I practiced 7 minutes. And this is a tip that AI produces based on all my inputs. Universal skills, I have communication, professionalism, problem solving, critical thinking, and confidence. And then overall, how I'm scoring. And in this overall, from the dozens of interviews I've taken on our platform, I score 52%. And then you have 3 options. You can create your custom interview, you can analyze your resume, or you could book a coaching session. This is the 2 most recent interviews that I've taken and their score. And then we try to make you as well-rounded as possible. You can connect to our blog where we post twice a week with interview tips and trends. And we also have articles and videos there as well. The next thing I'll show you is our profile page, where you go in and list your information, your current job title, what industry you're after, your experience level, any skills, your LinkedIn profile that'll be used to scrub that data to generate the interview questions, and then the resume. If you wanted to, you could do, and I'll show you this real quick. You could look at the resume, and this analyzes the fit that you have based on your resume to the job. Tells you your strengths, areas for improvement, any recommendations to improve, and next steps based on the interview. I'll go back and show you how to set up a new interview. There are 9 different fields that you're going to provide entries for. So we'll have this industry as sports. Job title is Customer Success Manager. Company name is Dick's. I paste in my job description, and then there's 3 different interview types that you can select from. Comprehensive is the combination of behavioral, situation, technical, stress, and case-based. So for this one, I'll have comprehensive. Because it's a customer success manager, I'll have management and the difficulty in the middle. At medium, if there was any additional context, you could put it here as it relates to background skills or specific areas you'd like to focus on. And I've already uploaded my resume. You can toggle between audio interviews and video and audio interviews. Then we go through a number of system checks. There's an error because of the double with Teams. So that's why it's not working. But that's okay. You would test your camera, your video, your microphone and audio, the connection speed, and then you continue here on the right to create the interview. And so what happens is AI looks at all 9 of those entries I just did, plus your LinkedIn profile, your resume, and generates a very specific question based on all those inputs. You would receive that first question immediately. You could answer it, and then the AI looks at and examines your answer, and based on that, proceeds to ask you a second question very related to what you're after. So it gets to the simulation as close as possible. And so what I want to do next is, assuming I finished all 8 questions, I'm going to come in here and show you the results. So it would come in here and here. I'm going to show you the actual results of how I performed. So these are different interviews that I've taken in the past, but I'm going to show you this one where I scored a 68 because it was a video interview. And this is very comprehensive. These are the details of what kind of feedback we're going to provide to you. And it encompasses lots of different things, from context, performance, analysis. So overview, I got a B-. I scored 68. I answered 8 questions, and there's 8 takeaways. The speaking pace, we want you to be around 140 to 160 words a minute, because we've done a lot of research, and that's the optimum where people understand you. I was at 127, so I was average. Filler words, we've talked about that before. I had 11, so I was really good because I averaged a little over 1 per question. Eye contact, 62% average. I smiled more than 2 times per question on an 8-question interview. So that was excellent. And I had 3 out of 6 behavioral questions use the STAR method. You could go question by question and look at quick results. It's got a full transcript there on the right between me and Alex, who was my AI interviewer. If you wanted to, you could download the whole 8-minute interview and look when you're looking off screen and see when you're using words like and ah and like. These are recommended actions to follow up on, and then key insights of how I could improve. The next page is context, and this summarizes what I was actually interviewing for. Customer success manager. There's your job description I posted. And the most important thing here is the category performance. These 3 areas are real important for things that you need to be good at in order to be a successful customer success manager. So we'll go back here to the nuts and bolts of the analysis. The feedback here is really comprehensive. We look at speaking pace, clarity, confidence, filler words, and eye contact, as well as structure of STAR method. Here are 3 strengths, 3 areas of improvement. And this is really cool where you can, I'll just pick one at random. It examines in detail each question and how you answered. So I could watch the video recording, I could listen to the audio. That blue box is my actual answer. It'll tell me based on that what went well, where I need to improve. The STAR method breaks down individually. You see my score there for situation, task, action, and result. Here are my strengths in using STAR and where I could improve. And then the ideal answer, suggested ideal, it takes my actual answer and gives me what I should have said. Through AI, it's telling me my ideal response. And then you can continue that into question 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it gives you a tremendous amount of detail by question and overall for how you can improve. Analysis goes even deeper. It tells you the percentage of eye contact you were looking at the screen or the webcam. We like you to be 80 to 100%, so I looked off screen too much. I had a portrait emotion of calm, so how I was perceived, how many times I smiled, the duration, and the impression I left on the interviewer was above average. The green circle here on field of vision is what AI says I should be looking at, so you can look at it question by question based on the coloring. So question 2, a couple times I looked off the screen to the left. I talked about this earlier, background analysis. So lighting is important. How organized you appear. Are you doing anything to distract them? How professional you come across. So the recommendations for me, improve lighting to reduce shadows and tidy up any visible items that I had on the desk. Speech patterns, speaking pace, how many filler words. My average was 1.38 per turn. A turn is a question followed by an answer. So my best was turn 8 when I did not use any filler words. Here's my longest and shortest answer. My longest was 44 seconds on turn 1, and my shortest was 26 on turn 8. We even look at tone of voice, where we examined 7 tonal dimensions: excited, polite, satisfied, sympathetic, sad, impolite, and frustrated. And I was one of sadness, so I need to look at the video and figure out why I was coming across like that. But on emotional intelligence, where we evaluate joy, anger, disgust, fear, and sadness, I had a score of 17.7, and my primary emotion was joyful. Speaking analysis, we examined speaking pace, filler words, and confidence level, and the STAR method. This heat map is really cool. By question, it examines 6 different characteristics that are important in interviewing: communication, professionalism, problem solving, critical thinking, confidence, and STAR method. The blue, I'm doing well, but the orange and red, I need to improve. And Amy is the name of our software. It gives insightful comments about whether I'm declining question to question or improving. Just a couple more tabs of results. The proficiency, we look at your English proficiency by examining TOEFL and other literacy and how fluent you are in the English language. So it examines based on your answers and gives you all sorts of feedback and areas to improve. Takeaways. Here are 8 key takeaways, so ways in which I can improve. And recommendations. These are my 3 biggest strengths. Areas of improvement: maintain more consistent eye contact. And then after I'm done, I can practice more by going on and taking another simulated interview, I can look at the blog and study more resources, or do a one-on-one 60-minute coaching session with me. The last tab is feedback, and there's no feedback provided because I did not share. You could just click on this button right here to share. I can send it to a mentor, a professor, a friend, a parent, whoever. I would just add their email here, enter the email address, send the invitation. The person on the other end would receive it, be able to visualize and see everything I just showed you, all video, all audio, all the feedback, and make comments. Hey, Craig, you need to improve your eye contact, or whatever the case may be. So it's very detailed, very comprehensive, and people that have used it have gone on and been very, very successful in actual job interviews. That completes my presentation, and appreciate you allowing me to walk you through the platform. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yes, that was wonderful, wonderful advice, and chock full of tips and tricks. So if anybody has any questions they would like to ask, go ahead. I'm just going to ask you to keep it brief, one question each. And then once we've gone through the cycle, then we can come back and you can maybe ask a follow-up question, or we can just go straight into the